Hello everyone and welcome to this pick a card reading video. This video is all about your next big life change, so what it is, but also when it will happen. So for this video, there are 6 tarot cards in each stack, as well as 2 oracle cards, and they are both different from each other. Here is stack 1A, stack 2B, stack 3C. If you need some more time, you can pause the video and figure out which stack you are most drawn to. Also, if you are not drawn to any of the stacks, that is completely okay. This just might not be the reading for you. I have plenty of other timeless pick a card reading videos all throughout my YouTube channel if you would like to check those out though. And as a reminder, everything I talk about and discuss in this video is for entertainment purposes only and cannot be stated as fact. Alright, let's get into it. Hello 1A and welcome to your part of the pick a card reading video. So your tarot cards are the Page of Wands upright, the Star upright, the Ace of Swords in reverse, the Wheel of Fortune in reverse, the King of Pentacles in reverse, and then we have the Two of Wands upright, is what that last card is. I'm glad you actually didn't have as many of these cards, like the ones that don't have the title, I guess you could say. It doesn't say Two of Wands on here. And then, because most of the cards are like that. So anyway, I'm glad that yours is not like that. I had to look up less for you all. But then the oracle cards are family changes and trust. So I actually am going to do something a little bit different for your reading. I will be reading from the Oracle deck guidebook first, just in case it provides anything extra that I should just get out of the way. So family changes. This card comes to you with the announcement of a change in your family. You needn't worry about the shift because it unfolds with divine blessings. Trust that you and your family are entirely watched over and protected by God and the angels, and this change only arises because it is the free will choice of those involved. Your role is to keep steady prayers that everyone chooses the path of God's love, or universe, whatever. Then release your prayers with faith in love. If you need to take action, God will clearly guide you and support you all the way. While change can seem threatening, in the long run, it always works out for the best. And so it is with your loved ones. Truly, this change will bring you closer together and bond you in new ways. Additional meanings: pregnancy, birth, or adoption, a change in living situation, divorce or separation, life transition, health concerns, and marriage. And then I don't normally read from the Angel Answers guidebook, but I will just do that little excerpt, read it out loud here. This is a time for trust. Sometimes there is no yes or no to a question. There are situations where we are better served by not knowing what is to come so that the miracle can unfold before our very eyes. Like children opening a gift, part of the magic of our lives is found in the joy of surprise. Trust that your angels have something amazing in store for you, even if they can't quite tell you yet what it is. So, I'm going to relay some different messages for here. So the main change involves family changes. It literally says family changes. And from this guidebook too, it's the butterfly oracle cards for life changes. So I wanted to specifically make sure that I got a general message from that oracle deck. And so the family changes really gives me some insight into what the changes that you're going through. And obviously it does relate to family in some way. But there are different messages I want to relay as it relates to family. So one thing I have to mention is that for some of you, you will be dealing with the loss of a loved one. And first I want to say too, for the Angel Answers, this trust card is a card that I could have put it back in because it doesn't really relate to a time period, but I felt that it was important for me to put this one down. And again, in the guidebook, it talks about not needing to know the specifics of the time frame. So I trust that. I trust what Spirit wants with me having placed that down. But I want to get back to what I was going to say, which is that for some of you, you will be dealing with life changes and family changes as it relates to the death of a loved one. I do want to bring up for some of you that could involve a pet. I actually just realized. Yeah, so I chose the cat tarot deck, which I don't use very often because I don't like having to look up all the meanings of the cards, the ones that don't have the title on there, such as the Two of Wands there at the end. But yeah, so that's something too, especially if it's a cat. Loss of a pet in a family could be something. But generally, if those of you are going through the loss of a loved one, I think it will mainly deal with a family member. And I feel like for a lot of you, if this is the case, if you're grieving the loss of a loved one, and remember that grief, well, I guess this is, oh my god, wait, I just realized this is for something that's about to happen. Oh no. So hopefully for some of you, if that is the case, it's somebody who is old and who you know is probably going to pass soon anyway, and you've already come to terms with that in your own way, like knowing they're older, like it's going to happen eventually. So I was gonna say something else, but I'm not going to just because no. But if that is the case, especially with the Wheel of Fortune reverse too, I feel that, and it's interesting, if that is the message for you, if you're going through the grieving process now or in the future, or both, you could, grieving for a lot of people never ends. But anyway, if that is the case for you, the Star card, I feel, will indicate that you could, how do I phrase this? I think a lot of you, while you're grieving, will receive divine messages from specifically your passed on loved one. They'll send you messages, whether it's butterflies, whether it's birds, whether it's dragonflies, or it could be something like you always see a specific time and then you just, you never really saw it before, and now you saw it before, but it was something that was linked to your family member maybe when they were alive. But there's some sort of sign or message, maybe like my mom always sees dimes. She finds dimes. Sometimes pennies as well, but especially dimes, like everywhere. And that's a sign from her uncle. We also get bird feathers from, her brother, my uncle. We also get bird feathers sent from him. Like, we never saw all these bird feathers until at some point after he passed, and we saw a bird feather and we're like, okay, well, we're going to say that's from him, and then we kept getting them from there on out. So just take that into consideration. For some of you, the life change then will be the grieving process, but then also receiving intuitive or divine messages, and more specifically from that passed on loved one. Whether, for a lot of you, I think it will be familial in nature, but for some of you, it could be somebody outside of that. I don't want to talk too much about that just because it's like, I don't want anybody to get sad or like worried, okay? But that is just something that first popped into my head when I pulled for this stack. And let's see, there's so many different family changes that were also mentioned in the guidebook that I could discuss, including, well, I was going to say divorce, but I don't really get the vibe of it being divorce, although it could be. If there is some sort of divorce or separation within your family, whether it's a sibling or aunt and uncle, cousins, your parents, grandparents, there's a sense that with the King of Pentacles in reverse, and also we have it next to the Two of Wands, it could be that somebody is just moving in a new direction, is the way I want to say. Like, there might not be love there anymore, or maybe there hasn't been in a while. And so I think if somebody were to bring about a separation, it would be the male figure in the relationship, or the more masculine person in the relationship, if there is one. And I do want to say, for a lot of you, it could just be that the family dynamics are shifting for whatever reason. Some people maybe are moving out or are moving states or cities. I think for a lot of you, though, it could be that this is a good opportunity for you to have your chosen family and make and create your chosen family. Maybe you've never really gotten along with family, especially, again, like a father or masculine figure in your life. And so with the Two of Wands and the Page of Wands too, these are good indications for me as well that You could be on a journey right now of finding your chosen family. And I think you'll realize even more so when you have these people as part of your chosen family. You'll realize, oh, maybe my relationships with my familial people in my life aren't actually that great, or maybe I just feel more strongly connected to these people who aren't blood related to me. With the Ace of Swords in reverse, that can indicate common arguments, and with the King of Pentacles in reverse, I don't normally get this for this card, but I think some of you with your family, especially parents, would have difference, or just like the community that you grew up in or that your parents live in, could have differences of opinions as it relates to values. Some of that could be, like, if somebody is queer, and let's say your parents are religious, I feel like there's a difference in opinions and in specifically values that you differ on greatly enough that it impacts your relationship. And so I wonder if people in your family or in your community will try to talk to you about certain things, and you'll be like, I don't want to talk about it, or we just have differences of opinions. And I just feel like looking externally, looking elsewhere, will provide you with more happiness. Especially with the trust card too, because I think some of you are looking for a time frame of when things will get better, maybe within your family, or when you'll be able to make friends if you move to a different town, that kind of vibe. And Spirit doesn't want to provide you with a specific time frame because they don't want you to rush making those meaningful connections with people. And for some of you, maybe that includes you or a family member or a group of people in your community making amends. For some of you, maybe that is the case, but for many of you, I think it would be the opposite, where you, again, find those other kinds of connections that would be very beneficial. Friends, chosen family, even coworkers can be chosen family in certain situations, So I just see that being something. Ooh, okay, yes, put that on the back burner. Or do I want to talk about that now? Yeah, I'll talk about that now. For some of you, it could even involve, when I was talking about career, a light bulb popped up in my head, because I think for some of you that is also the case, where we have the Star here and the Page of Wands upright and the Two of Wands. All of those tell me that for some of you, the family dynamics are more so related to your work. Some of you maybe even work at the same place as somebody who's blood related to you, or it's a family business. And this is indication from Spirit that it's okay to look elsewhere. And with the Star upright, you could find better opportunities elsewhere. For some of you too, when it talked about this in the guidebook, the Star upright talks about health. So I wonder if there will be family changes in a positive way for somebody's health. Could be mental, could be physical. I can't say one way or the other. I think it could be both or either or for all of you. With the Wheel of Fortune in reverse, it can indicate that there's an end to this health concern. And with that could bring about positive change. And then Spirit would then be indicating to trust that things will turn out okay, if that more so resonates with you. And if that's the case with the Page of Wands upright and the Two of Wands upright, I think Spirit wants you to look at other possibilities than maybe what you've been doing now. I think there could be other solutions and resolutions that you'll find in the future. With the King of Pentacles in reverse, it can indicate that, like, medical professionals that you're seeing now won't be helpful. It can also indicate that it could cost more money to do something that would be more helpful to treat, cure, or lessen the effects and the symptoms of an illness or an ailment that somebody has. It can also indicate that somebody finally gets the treatment that they need or deserve, which I guess is kind of what I've been saying, but maybe there hasn't really been the money to be able to afford those kinds of treatments, but maybe with the Star upright, there's been luck, or like a charitable donation that's been given to you or something, or an insurance shift. But either way, Spirit in that regard would be indicating that it will all work out in the end. And I think some of the health stuff might also relate to those of you who I said maybe you could be going through grief and the passing of a loved one. So if you think, well, my situation falls into both of those categories, again, I don't want you to worry too much about anybody passing away. I have to be careful when saying those things on here, but Just focus on what you feel to be most true. And I feel like there's almost a sense of hopelessness with this stack, no matter what the situation is that I have suggested it could be. And no matter what it is, again, Spirit at the end of the day wants you to trust that things will fall into place. I see somebody like holding their head up high and their shoulders are back and just walking forward while like fire and explosions are happening behind them. And I see those explosions and the fire getting further and further away as you keep walking. And that doesn't mean that bad things won't happen in the future. I mean, we all go through down times. We all go through situations, excuse me, that we don't enjoy. But I see you being able to handle all of this with grace. And the more trust that you have, the more things will fall into place. And that doesn't mean don't grieve. Grieving is part of the process, right? That doesn't mean, and that also includes grieving the relationships maybe you used to have with family members if you're cutting people off or like not talking to people as much anymore. So there's a lot of different things that I threw out there, but I think even more than one of these things could apply to you as well. For a lot of you, I think it will be multiple of the things that I have been discussing. But I see for some of you too, I have to mention moving. I see some of you would be a lot happier with moving. I know I kind of briefly was talking about that, but you or a different family member could move, and there might be issues around that. Maybe you'll miss people if they move away or if you move away. But I see it being beneficial for you and or the other people in your life in the long run. And I see a lot of you just making a lot of progress in your life right now, and Spirit is saying that it looks really good and to keep it up. But I will leave it there, 1A. Thank you so much for watching and listening to this video. If you liked the video, you can go down below and like the video. You can subscribe to my channel if you'd like, and you can check out the other videos on my channel. I have plenty of other timeless pick-a-card readings. You can also comment down below if you resonated with this stack, and you can comment again in the future or update your comment if you took any of my advice or if there's other events that have been happening that relate to this reading. But thank you again, 1A, and take care. Hello, 2B, and welcome to your part of the pick-a-card reading video. So your cards are the 3 of Wands upright, the Sun in reverse, the 7 of Wands upright, the 3 of Swords upright, the 3 of Cups upright, and the 10 of Wands upright. And then the Oracle cards are Be True to You and Within the Next Few Months. And actually, that Within the Next Few Months card, like, you actually are the only group that has an Oracle card that has an actual time frame, actual tangible numerical time frame. So that's something to keep in mind. And I'm going to do something I don't normally do. I will actually be reading from the guidebooks first. So let's start with the Butterfly Oracle deck. Be true to you. You drew this card because of an inner conflict. You're struggling to make a decision about your next actions. You worry whether following your desired path is the right choice and how doing so will impact others yet. The answer is that you must be true to yourself. Any path where you compromise your vision will put you out of sync with the rhythms of success, health, and happiness. Of course, you'd never do anything to harm another person or ignore his or her needs. However, you can't harm or ignore yourself either. As you are truly happy, you automatically lift up those around you. You also become a role model for following your inner truth. Additional meanings. Be assertive, speak your truth, and stand up for your beliefs. Accept and enjoy your unique qualities. Be creative and free-spirited, and don't be swayed by outside pressure. Okay, there's stuff I want to say about that, because that makes sense with what I've been picking up on. But then we have within the next few months. In the next few months, what you are asking about will occur. Divine timing means that other people's free will choices are also involved, so keep the faith while all of the pieces of this puzzle come together and the situation resolves itself beautifully. So off the bat, I want to talk about a couple of main things. First of all, I think a lot of you take on more responsibility than you can swallow, or you take off more than you can chew. All of the analogies. But I think a lot of you take on and do more than any normal person would or should. I think a lot of you also struggle with having boundaries with people where you're like a yes person. You'll say yes if it means the other person doesn't have to struggle or suffer or face any hardships. And then that means that people rely on you more often than not to fix the problem that arises or to handle things or get things done. I think many of you also struggle with caring for yourself enough. A lot of you, I think, are very people-pleasing is the main thing that's popping up. So I'm glad that the Be True to You card said that, because I really feel like that's true. Many of you struggle with caring enough about your own wants and needs, and you people please to make other people feel happy. And for some of you, maybe that's because you understand what it's like. How do I say? You're just a very empathetic person, so I think you try to understand where other people are coming from, and maybe ever since you were young, you had to people please. That was like your coping mechanism, and you want to be viewed as somebody who is kind. And another key thing is that I think a lot of you do not want to be seen as troublesome, problematic. What is the word I'm thinking about? Oh, a burden. You don't want to feel like you're a burden to other people. You want other people to feel like they can come to you for anything. But with that, people easily step all over you. So you really have to be careful about that, because I see that being an issue. I think a lot of you too do work hard. And maybe part of the reason you do take on a lot of responsibility is because you think it will get you somewhere quicker, or it will be just more efficient if you're the one that does things. And for some of you, I feel like kind of you're in a rush, but it's like you just want to keep working at something until your desired outcome occurs. And Spirit is really wanting for you to take a step back and have some time to reflect and relax, because Spirit doesn't want for you to overwork yourself. Of course, Spirit is glad that you are working hard, and that's very admirable, but it also takes away from your health and happiness. We see that here with the sun in reverse, even though that beautiful orange tabby looks like my cat and it's the sun, but it's in reverse. So it's funny that I'm talking about the sun, but I'm getting imagery of cups where it's like you need to fill your cup more. So you can be working hard for things, and while that is admirable, you still need to have time outside of your main goals to do other things or to de-stress and decompress. If you put all of your energy into this thing or these couple main things that you're trying to accomplish, you don't have enough time for yourself, you don't have enough time for your other relationships, and then you ultimately don't have time for your own happiness. You can't only have your happiness in one thing or in one person. So Spirit wants for you to diversify and simplify and to not take on so much, because a lot of you are taking on way too much. And we have the Three of Cups here too. And with that, again, if you think about the traditional imagery of the Three of Cups, it's three people cheersing, three women cheersing with their cups. So I think the people around you maybe feed into this narrative that you're a hard worker as well. And it's a true narrative that you may be a hard worker, or that you have bold, big visions that you want to accomplish, things you want to do and reaching new heights. Maybe you're somebody who sets really big goals and expectations for yourself. And I think the people around you maybe feed into that. And then that makes it harder for you to stop or pause or wait or hold off on something, where it feels like maybe you need to keep going because you also can't let others down, and that feeds into the people-pleasing stuff again. And I think for many of you, actually, you may struggle with doing things that aren't true to your nature. What I mean, for example, is like, I think earlier I talked about a family business. I don't know if it was this deck or the other deck, but let's say the family business. And let's say you're expected to take over the family business once somebody passes away. But let's say you don't want to do that. So I think in this situation, the cards are saying that you are more inclined to do something like that. Some of you, it's interesting because I feel like a lot of you have very big dreams and goals and visions for yourself, but some of you maybe are just settling to make others happy, and that's how you make other people happy, and that's how the people pleasing plays a part in your life, where you aren't really doing what you want to do or what you love to do, but you're doing what you feel you have to do or need to do. Maybe it's so that you survive or that your family is able to survive if they rely on your income or part of your income. And so Spirit is saying to be true to you. If we look at that card, it says be true to you. Do what is ultimately best for you, and don't worry so much about how it will impact others. Of course, if finances are involved, like, be smart with it. Like, don't just quit your job or something like that, or drop out of school. That's not what Spirit's saying. But, well, drop out of school, I mean, who am I to say? I only did a semester of college. But just from what I'm picking up on with the cards, I'm not seeing that you should take any drastic measures. I think things will also happen naturally if you take baby steps as well. So within the next few months, I think you'll see gradual changes happening, and then there will be a culmination around the end of these few months where you will have more clarity and you'll know what to do, and you'll know how to live in your authenticity and in a way that if you were worried before about how it impacts others, now you won't have to worry. So you'll get more clarity over the next few months, and especially as the gradual steps until the grand culmination. So within a short time frame, I think a lot of you have already been feeling these shifts happen, but yeah, especially within the next few months and at the end of around the next few months, you'll really start to feel what it is that you were meant to do, or you'll be more accepting of what it is you were meant to do, how you were supposed to be. And I think too, there will be some people in your life who will come around to who you are or what you want to do with your life. Some people won't, though. I think there will, of course, be people who won't be there for you if that's the case, but there will be people who also will be there for you, even if, it comes from places that you wouldn't normally expect. Or let's say you have like a really angry uncle, but then a very positive aunt or something. But then when you show yourself for who you truly are and like express yourself fully, maybe your aunt is like, I can't be around you, but then your uncle's like, yeah, I still accept you, those kinds of vibes. So I wouldn't be surprised if that happens as well. Either way, don't be too considerate of other people's feelings is actually what I want to say. This is a time for you to figure out what it is that you want to do. Fill your own cup. It doesn't have to come from anything externally, except for anything involving you and your own endeavors, your own work, and your own progress. Similar to, I think, what I said or maybe I said this earlier in this deck, I don't remember. But I feel like there really is a lot of progress being made in your life right now. There's a lot of shifts, and just be open to everything. But make sure you focus more on yourself and not people pleasing. That's like the really big message that Spirit has for you. But in terms of the life changes, mainly it's a wide array of things that could happen. It could involve career. It could involve just, again, living more authentically as yourself and in whatever form that comes in. And making changes that other people won't be accepting of. Because I think you try to do things that other people will be accepting of. So you need to do things for yourself, stand up for yourself. I think it said that in the guidebook too, like stand up for yourself and your beliefs. So do that. Some of that too could be just speaking up more. One of the messages is that you could just be speaking up more, speaking your truth. Maybe you're quiet. Maybe you let people walk over you. You aren't able to say anything back if somebody's mean to you or if somebody has a different viewpoint from you. But now is the time to utilize your voice. But I think a lot of you are also more so about action. So utilize your voice, but also utilize actions for making changes in your life that would be impactful for you. And that's what's most important at the end of the day. But I will leave it at that. Thank you so much to B for watching and listening to this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did like it, you can go down and hit the like button for me. It helps my channel out a lot, as well as if you subscribe. And you can check out the other pick a card readings on my YouTube channel. A lot of them are timeless, so you can click on any of them and it won't be like, oh, this Christmas, what can you expect? Like, there's a lot of timeless videos on my channel. If you'd like to, you can comment down below saying if this resonated with you in any way, and you can comment down below or edit your comment again in the future if you took any of my advice or if there's been any changes since this reading. Thank you so much, Tubi, and take care. Hello 3C, and welcome to your part of the pick a card reading video. So I do have to provide a trigger warning for this stack. It might get into some serious, heavy, or intense topics, and it will bring up food, possibly addictive qualities, obsessive compulsive personality traits, and so on and so forth. But the cards we have here are the Ten of Swords in reverse, the Emperor, the Hermit in reverse, the Moon upright. The Emperor is upright as well, I didn't say that, but yes. And the Eight of Swords upright, and the Devil. And then for the Oracle cards, we have Dietary Change, and for the time frame, we actually pulled Wait. So no specific time frame. And I actually will do what I normally don't do, which is read from the guidebooks first, and then I will just get into the reading, so then I don't forget later. Oh, I just missed it. Okay. Dietary Change. This card signals an improvement in the quality of the food you eat and the beverages you drink. You definitely are guided to make a positive and healthful change in your diet. As you do so, you receive additional rewards of increased energy, confidence, and well-being, plus an enhanced appearance. Remember that you can receive support for this change from a licensed nutritionist and groups like Overeaters Anonymous. You can also pray for heavenly help with motivation and dealing with cravings. Additional meanings: detoxification, veganism or vegetarianism, eliminating allergens from your diet and your home, a change of healthcare practitioner or a second opinion. And then I will read, I normally don't read from the Angel Answers deck, but it'll just be a short little excerpt that I'll read here. So it says, wait. Your situation is going to require a little patience. Your angels are not saying no, but they are saying not yet. Sometimes heaven needs a little extra time to make all the pieces fall perfectly into place. What you are asking for may have an effect on the lives of others. When that occurs, it can take additional preparation to make sure that everyone's needs are seen too. Be patient so that all who are involved can have the experience they're meant to have. So the change that is listed here, it says dietary change, and I will say a lot of you, how do I want to go about this? So I think a lot of you probably have issues around food in terms of either food insecurity or, and by that I mean maybe you grew up not having much food, much access to food. You can try different foods. Maybe you had a basic cheap meal diet at home. I wouldn't be surprised if many people listening to this have, when they were younger, been on what is it called? The school lunches that are free or are partially, like they're or reduced lunch or free lunch. There we go. So that could be part of the issue, but either way, I think that many or most of you could have issues surrounding food because you tie your emotions to food. So I wouldn't, be surprised if you have disordered eating, like an actual diagnosed or undiagnosed eating disorder. So if that is the case, of course I do have to try to recommend seeing an ED therapist or counselor who can help you, and a nutritionist who can help you get back on track. There are many different forms of disordered eating. The most common one is binge eating disorder. So some people here may struggle with binging when they're feeling upset or sad in any way. You could have an unhealthy relationship with food if you only eat junk food, or on the opposite end, if you only eat healthy food and you don't allow yourself to have other foods for whatever reason. So a lot of that is being shown here with the Devil upright. I have to say that confirms that there's probably a mental aspect to why you could have an unhealthy relationship with food. Some of you maybe even now can't afford food very much, so it's easier to and more cost efficient to rely on bad food habits. So think going and getting off. Is there a dollar menu still available? I haven't been inside of I haven't gotten food at a fast food place in a very long time, but if there's like a $1 or value menu section, maybe going through that and like stocking up on that kind of food. So, or the opposite, where it's like you don't allow yourself to ever have dessert because it's like that's so much sugar and carbs and I don't need and fat, and I don't need that as part of my diet because I want the gains, bro. But I see this having very much a negative impact on your overall health, mental, emotional, physical, spiritual. Now is really just the time where I'm glad that the Ten of Swords in reverse was the first one being shown, because that, when it's in reverse, talks about healing. So I think a lot of you hopefully will soon go through a period of healing any negative, whatever it is, whatever negative food habits you may have. And I do want to throw in alcohol with that as well. Some of you maybe struggle with drinking when you're nervous or just drinking when you're socializing, but always drinking to excess. Spirit is indicating that there's a time now for being able to work through that and that it will be very difficult. And part of what will help you is getting to the root issues. With the devil upright, we have to think about childhood issues or issues that have been very prominent in our lives that had a very negatively profound impact on our lives. So let's say, in high school, maybe you got seconds for lunch one day, and then somebody across or further down the table was like, wow, you're such a fatty. Like, you're gonna get so fat. You're already fat. You're eating so much food, yada, 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 whatever it is. Or, I know a lot of guys struggle with being too skinny. So imagine somebody being like, bro, like, you need to go to the gym. I could literally I've heard this so many times from my skinny friends out there, but it's like, I could pick you up and throw you across the room. Like, no problem. I could easily just pick you up and carry you around. And those kinds of things can be very hurtful, no matter what somebody's size actually is. So think about any moments in your life where that resonates for you, where people have been very negative about your weight, your physical appearance, the food you eat, even the quality of food you eat as it relates to what you can afford. All of those kinds of things. Or if people think you're eating too healthy or not healthy enough, like, think of all of these things, but also don't just think about food, because food is a conduit, right? And alcohol, they are a conduit for the real deeply rooted issues. So that's why I bring up food insecurity as well. Think about why you might rely on food and why eating food gives you that serotonin or dopamine rush. It's like what in your life is or has been lacking or used to be lacking, but now you still, are in this cycle of bad food habits. But so just think about the moments in your life where how do I want to phrase this? Think about the moment where things maybe started, where you started developing these bad food habits. And some of you maybe don't even remember, it's been so long, but try to really think about this. Go to a therapist if you can as well, or a hypnotist. Think about the moment where these habits started happening, were they shown to you at a young age? Were people in your family also like this? Is it normalized in your culture or in your community, in your society that you live in? Think about how these bad food habits, and that includes, again, alcohol, how all of this started. And when you get to the root cause of the issues in that way, that will help you with your food habits overall. With the Hermit being reversed too, it's really talking about you going inward. And the Emperor wants to tell you that, oh, this is interesting. I wonder if some of you also have control issues too. I've suffered from an ED, and for me, that's greatly tied to my OCD. So some of you maybe, well, also because with EDs, there's that obsessive compulsive nature to it, but not everybody with an ED has OCD, but it's just something, that I have to bring up. Some of you, I think, have control issues, and again, just because you have control issues doesn't mean you have OCD, but some of you may have control issues, so this is something that you can control. Think about the things in your life that you have not had control over that have led you to this point, because having an ED allows you to have control, right? You can control what happens for the most part, or at least you feel you can. You can control what you're eating, how you're eating, when you're eating, all of those kinds of things. And the Hermit in reverse is saying to really dig deep and go inward, and with that being above the devil too, it's like facing your inner demons, facing the things that you're afraid to face. I think a lot of you are suffering from things that you don't realize you're suffering from, like, again, not realizing that there are any issues that you have, maybe you think it's just fine, especially if, again, it seems normal, but just because it's something you see often in your culture or in your society and in your family or friend groups doesn't mean that it actually is okay. So just really digging deep, pinpointing the areas and the events where these things have started and how long it's been, thinking about if you're aware or conscious or semi-conscious of any of these habits, and think about how much me telling you all of these things, if it makes you anxious, or if you're just like, no, I don't believe that, or maybe you're starting to believe like, oh, maybe I do have some issues here. And I do want to say, especially if you live somewhere like America or in another first world country, there's so much access to negative foods, and there's also the idea of like how people should look or how people should eat. So try to question your habits versus what the society around you tells you should be like and how you should act. And we have the Moon and the Eight of Swords as well. I haven't talked about those yet, but the Moon ties in with the Hermit in reverse. Again, just really digging deep. Digging into the Moon deals with the subconscious mind as well. So dealing with the subconscious, things that maybe have not been revealed or fully revealed to you. And try to have an understanding of your habits and how they could be better. But again, really focusing on before the getting better part right away. Focus on where these things stem from, because then hopefully you can get a better understanding and you don't have shame around your circumstances. And then with the Eight of Swords upright, I often say this card reminds me of like a victim mentality card. So that's where it makes me think that a lot of you have probably not only had these different ideas shoved down your throat, but there's other outside circumstances not related to food that make you maybe have control issues now, or just make you feel like it makes you feel safe having these bad habits. And Spirit is saying that I do want to say, before I get too much further, I really feel like there is hope for you all to get better, but I want to actually bring up the Weight card, because the Weight card, when I interpreted it before even reading the deck, I was thinking about pausing, and not pausing, sorry, the other P word, patience. I was thinking about being patient, because I think sometimes, well, especially if you have like bad habits, and if other people around you are engaging in these kinds of bad habits, or they don't realize that you're engaging in these kinds of bad habits because this, that, or the other thing, being patient with yourself on this journey of self-realization and then self-betterment will be very crucial, because if you're not patient and if you shame yourself over and over again, and that's part of what the Eight of Swords says too, is I think a lot of you hold a lot of shame, but remember to try to not be shameful and keep yourself in these mindsets that you are unworthy or you are unloved or that you can't get better. And also remember that with the Weight card, it talks about in this kind of situation, things may get worse before they get better, or things may, a lot of people with bad habits, it's hard to break them. So don't get mad if you fall onto bad habits, especially if you're feeling really stressed. Just realize what the stressor is and then learn how you can cope so that you can do better next time, and so hopefully you don't cave. Like, you hear about stories of people with any sort of addiction, it's like after 30 years, they'll relapse. And so it's like, with any bad habits that you have, don't get upset, especially at first. It's very normal for anything, especially relating to food or survival. Don't be surprised if you fall onto bad habits. Just really focus on how you how you don't have to shame yourself. Focus on the other ways to cope. Focus on the affirmations you can tell yourself so that you don't get into a negative headspace and that you keep going forward, and really have faith and believe in yourself that things can get better. Even if it doesn't feel like that for quite a while, you have to keep going and reminding yourself that this is for your health. This is for, all forms of health. Again, mental, emotional, physical, spiritual. How this is going to better your life. It will not take away from your life, even though it will likely feel like that at first. There's a lot of normal feelings that people have. Like, any feelings you have are valid. Feelings are valid. It's about what you do with those feelings moving forward. So if you're feeling very anxious and upset because you can't have this certain food, or you can't eat at this certain time, you can't do this certain routine or schedule regarding food or alcohol or whatever. Like, let's say you're going out to the club, but then you're trying to get yourself to not drink, and then maybe you're even being peer pressured by other people, and that's part of that is the devil, is like the society of the people around you, I think, will very negatively impact you on this journey as well. But you have to remember to stay true to who you are and try to do what's best for you. But if for whatever reason, you cave in and you drink and maybe even get really drunk, then make sure that you do not, it's okay to be sad and upset, but don't stay in that. Be like, I know what I can do. I can have the resources to do better next time. Have trusted individuals around you. Confide in people that you trust. If you have resources available to you, you can look online. Reddit communities can be very helpful for these kinds of things. Sometimes they can be the opposite, like Facebook groups. The in-person groups can be helpful, and talking to a doctor, a medical professional of any kind can be very helpful, or a nutritionist. Some of you too, I have to just mention this before I end the video for you, or this part of the video for you. Maybe you struggle with exercise. So if you struggle with exercise, a lot of what I said can still apply to you, where it's like, don't shame yourself. Try to think about how it can add to your life and it won't take away from your life. Make sure you don't get obsessive about exercising if you don't normally exercise. And if you do exercise, if you over-exercise, then try to find ways to find balance so that you maybe can not distract yourself, but do other things. Like, during this time when I would normally exercise for 3 hours, instead I'm going to exercise just for an hour, and then right after I have something scheduled, I have an appointment scheduled, or a fun date night or friend date night planned. So I'm not going to skip out on that, because that's also good to socialize or to go to this appointment for my health and overall well-being. Just think of things. It's good to write things down and have a plan and a goal in mind. It's good to have visual things hanging up around your room or your bathroom mirrors, stuff like that. Your computer, having notes on your phone, that can be very helpful as well. Journaling, helpful. I always recommend journaling. I don't really do it just because whenever I talk to people who tell me to journal, they're like, do it every day for at least 5 minutes, and it's like, every day I don't really have things going on every day, but I don't say to journal every day. You don't have to, but journaling when you feel the need to have an outlet, especially if you don't have anybody to talk to at the moment, or if you want to put something down on paper or on text and it's easier to relay a message that way to other people. But really it's about prioritizing your own health and well-being at this point in time, and I see it being difficult but necessary and important. And just know that I believe in you, whatever this relates to. For the select few of you, maybe this relates even more so to substance abuse issues outside of alcohol, although I'm not necessarily getting that as much. Like maybe some of you want to get off of your antidepressant medications or any certain medications you're on, or you have been afraid to get on one. So that's just personal preference and a personal decision. Do what's best for you, though. Some of you likely, again, even with the moon upright and the devil, you likely could deal with any sort of not just bad habits but mental health issues, so take those all into consideration as well. But remember to do what's best for you. If you sit down in a quiet room and don't even think about anything, but just sit there, like meditate, what thoughts come into your head, and then if you're able to write those down and see if those are helpful thoughts or negative thoughts and how you can rewire your brain, there's plenty of resources online if you're able to do those. Find those resources. If you're watching this video, I imagine you are able to, hopefully to some extent, have those kinds of at least online resources, if not physical resources, available to you. But I will leave it at that. Thank you so much, 3C, for watching and listening to this video. I'm sorry if it was a little bit heavy. Also, again, maybe it doesn't relate to food habits, just whatever bad habits that relate. I do have to mention, for a lot of you, it probably is, though, because of the dietary change. Some of you, too, I think, need to cut back on your coffee. But I'll leave it at that. So thank you for watching and listening. If you would like to subscribe to me, you certainly can, and I have plenty of other pick-a-card readings that are timeless all throughout my YouTube channel. You can head down below and like the video if you liked it. You can comment down below if this resonated with you in any way, and you can comment down below or update your comment again in the future if you make any changes or take any of the advice that I talk about in this video, or just talk about any updates that you have. Thank you so much, 3C, and take care. Thank you so much for watching and listening to this video. If you liked the content, make sure you subscribe, like the video, and comment down below, as it really helps my channel out a lot. You can follow me on my socials listed here on the screen. Thank you, and blessed be.